Chosen one, heaven has pressed pause for you, not for the crowd, not for the masses scrolling without awareness. For you. You are not reading this by mistake. You were summoned. Right now. The world around you is moving, but in the spirit realm, time is suspended. All of heaven is still. Angelic hosts are watching. The cloud of witnesses is leaning in. The Lord himself is gazing upon you with fire in his eyes. And he is whispering, "Now, tonight is not just another night. Tonight, the veil is thin. Tonight, destiny meets decision. What God is about to do will not be subtle. It will be unmistakable. He's about to rewrite what was written against you. He's about to reverse what was spoken over you. You are not ordinary. And this moment is not random. You see, there's a sound being released in the spirit, a sound only the chosen ones can discern. It's not the sound of chaos, but of alignment. It's not the sound of endings, but of holy beginnings. You felt the tug in your spirit, the unrest in your bones. That wasn't anxiety, that was divine agitation. The shaking that signals, the shifting. You weren't losing your mind, you were shedding what no longer fits the new thing God is doing in you. Chosen one, this night, something sacred is opening. Not in your environment, but in your soul. You've carried weights you never voiced. You've smiled while breaking inside. You've shown up when quitting felt easier. And heaven saw, God saw, and tonight, the King who never sleeps has marked your obedience. There's a reason others overlooked you. You were hidden by God, not forgotten. There's a reason the doors stayed shut. He wasn't denying you. He was positioning you. You've been asking, when? Heaven answers now. There are moments that shift generations, and you've just stepped into one. God has a pattern. He moves loudest in the stillest places. The Red Sea didn't part in a crowd of praise. It parted when Moses stood still. The chains didn't fall off Paul and Silas because of the crowd, but because of their midnight worship. And tonight, God is honoring your midnight cries. Not one tear was wasted. Not one prayer fell to the ground. As we read in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 2, when you walk through fire, you will not be burned. This is not emotional hype. This is spiritual reality. You are being summoned into a higher place, a realm where fear cannot follow you, where shame has no voice, where the oil of purpose flows like never before. But it starts with awareness. It starts with surrender. It starts when you stop scrolling and start obeying. Don't treat this like another video. This is not content. This is a divine confrontation. You've been asking for clarity. God is giving it. You've been praying for confirmation. This is it. You've been begging for breakthrough. It starts now. But here's the key. Breakthrough doesn't always look like escape. Sometimes it looks like revelation. The real shift isn't around you, it's within you. And when God changes your lens, everything else will follow. The door opens, the chains fall, the way clears. Not because of force, but because of alignment. You've spent seasons doubting your worth. Tonight, heaven stamps you with identity. You've wrestled with your calling. Tonight, God reminds you that the call never left, even when your faith did. You've wondered if you missed it. But what if I told you, you are right on time? The delay was divine. The detour was protection. And this moment, this is destiny. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. You are the one God has been waiting to activate. So breathe. Lift your head. The shame is lifting. The fog is clearing. The fire is not to destroy you. It's to refine you. You're stepping out of survival and into strategy. You're exiting pain and entering power. And when you rise from this moment, nothing about you will be the same. Hell should have stopped you before you read this. But now it's too late. You've seen too much. You've felt too deeply. You know too clearly. Chosen one. The heavens are declaring what earth has tried to silence. You are chosen. If this word pierced something inside you, do not keep it to yourself. Subscribe right now to stay connected. Like this video. Share it with another chosen one who needs to know tonight is holy. And drop a 777 in the comments as a prophetic act that you receive this divine moment. Marked, in the midnight hour, that's what you are. Chosen one. Heaven didn't wait until the sunlight to place its seal upon you. It chose the dark. It chose the quiet. It chose the hour where most souls are asleep, distracted, unaware. Because only those who carry a deep call can hear when God whispers at midnight, and you heard him. The midnight hour is not just a time on a clock. It's a spiritual threshold. It's when the day dies and the new one begins. It's transition wrapped in silence. And tonight, something eternal is shifting inside you. This is not a moment to endure. It is a gate to pass through. You were born for this hour. God waited for the darkness to crown you because only those trained in night vision can lead others through it. This is when God marks his warriors, when no one else is watching, when there's no applause, no spotlight, no celebration. This is the hour where heaven places oil on the ones the world rejected. You weren't overlooked, you were hidden for a holy purpose. There's power in anonymity, and in the stillness of tonight, you are being commissioned. What you thought was isolation was consecration. What you called loneliness was sacred preparation. You thought you were being left behind, but God was actually walking you ahead quietly, secretly, intentionally. Do you remember all the times you sat in silence, feeling like the heavens were closed? That wasn't punishment, that was training. God was teaching you how to hear him beyond noise. He was stripping away your dependency on validation so you would rely only on his voice. Because the ones who are marked in the midnight hour cannot afford to be swayed by man's opinion. You were forged in fire. In prayer, no one heard. In tears, no one saw. That's why the enemy fears you. He thought you'd break under pressure. But you were being built. And tonight, that building is complete. The seal is placed. Your spirit is rising. You don't need another sign. You are the sign. Your very life is prophetic. You're the evidence that God still speaks, still chooses, still moves in the lives of those who won't let go. Your scars are not shameful. They are proof of survival. They say, "This one didn't bow to the night." There's something sacred about those who survive the midnight. They carry an authority others can't fake. Because when you've walked through the valley and stayed loyal, you don't have to shout to be known. You carry presence. You walk into a room and spirits shift. Not because you demand attention, but because heaven backs your every step. You're being handed keys tonight. Not physical keys, but spiritual ones. The kind that open doors in realms others cannot even see. The kind that unlock generational chains. The kind that activate dormant destinies. You're not just being marked for personal blessing, you're being entrusted with kingdom responsibility. It was in the midnight hour that Paul and Silas praised, and the prison shook. It wasn't mourning. It wasn't after their release. It was while they were still chained. Midnight worship carries weight, and your midnight has made you dangerous to hell. People around you might not understand what's shifting in you right now. That's okay. They weren't in the prayer room with you. They didn't hear what you heard. They didn't wrestle through the silence the way you did. They didn't feel the oil fall when you were weeping on your knees. You don't need their agreement. You carry heaven's endorsement. Paul reminds us in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 6, God raised us up with Christ and seated us with him in the heavenly realms. That's where you are now. Elevated, seated, crowned in places no man can reach. That's why warfare increased, because you were rising. But the warfare was not a sign of defeat. It was confirmation of birth. The enemy always surrounds what he fears. And tonight, that fear intensifies. Because the marking is complete. Because you now know. Because the veil has been lifted. And you can no longer be deceived into believing you're insignificant. You are a weapon. A revival carrier. A fire starter. A destroyer of strongholds. You didn't come this far to turn back. And God didn't invest this much in you to let you fall now. This marking isn't just for you, it's for everyone connected to you. The midnight oil that's been poured over you will drip into the lives of others. That's why you couldn't give up. That's why death couldn't take you. That's why despair had to release you. You are the one hell couldn't kill. You are the one heaven had to preserve. You were chosen in secret, so you could be revealed in power. So tonight, don't look for a feeling. Look for the shift. Pay attention to what leaves. Pay attention to what stirs. Pay attention to the sudden clarity in your mind, the stillness in your spirit, the authority in your voice. These are signs of the marking. These are the echoes of a midnight encounter with the Most High. Some will see you after this and wonder what changed. Let them wonder. Let them ask. Let them see that God still chooses unlikely vessels, that He still anoints the rejected, that He still crowns the humble. You're not here to impress. You're here to carry glory. And mark this. The next time the enemy comes to tempt you, accuse you, or torment, you remind him of this night. Remind him that you were marked in the midnight hour, that your oil cost more than he could ever afford, that the seal of the Lord cannot be undone. You are no longer who you were yesterday. You are no longer searching for proof. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are marked. You are chosen. You are ready. Chosen one. Let's expose the truth. Darkness misjudged you. The enemy thought the night would be your undoing. He saw your tears, your breaking points, your silent withdrawals, and whispered, "She's finished. He won't survive this one." But what hell didn't understand was that every time you fell to your knees, you were being fortified. You weren't being destroyed, you were being developed. When you went quiet, you weren't quitting. You were listening. When you pulled back, it wasn't retreat, it was recalibration. The enemy confused your stillness for surrender. He forgot that silence is the womb of power, that out of the void, God speaks, that when everything seems empty, heaven is at work forming the unshakable. Darkness looked at your wounds and counted you out, but it never saw the oil being produced beneath the pressure. The oil of endurance, the oil of insight, the oil of unshakable faith. You didn't lose your power in the pain, you found it. You didn't collapse under the fire, you absorbed it and became flame yourself. What hell forgot is this: you're built from eternal material. You carry divine DNA. You were made in the image of the one who never breaks. You reflect the resilience of Christ, who bore all of sin and still rose with keys in his hand. That same Spirit lives in you, and every weapon formed against you has hit resistance, not because you're lucky, but because you're chosen. You carry something that rattles the realms of darkness. It's why the enemy fought so hard to silence you, to shut your mouth, to drain your passion. Because if you ever realized what you truly carried, you'd flip nations upside down. If you ever walked fully in your authority, revival would break out wherever your feet touched. It was declared in Luke chapter 10, verse 19, "I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions." Yes, you, chosen one, you carry authority not just over your own life, but over regions, over bloodlines, over cycles. And the moment you woke up to that reality, hell's strategy fell apart. It was never about your comfort. It was about keeping you blind. But now you see, and that makes you a threat. Darkness underestimated your bounce back. It thought that betrayal would break your spirit, that the loss would shatter your purpose, that the silence of God would fracture your faith. But you didn't fold. You bled and still built. You cried and still worshipped. You walked alone but never abandoned your post. And heaven took note. You are not a survivor. You are a sign. A signal to every demon that the remnant is rising, that the ones who were refined in obscurity are stepping into visibility, that the quiet ones are now the thunder, that the rejected stones are becoming cornerstones. You've been called too sensitive, too spiritual, too intense. But all of that was your training ground. You discern what others ignore. You feel what others suppress. You see through what others fall for. That's not a flaw. That's your function. That's your armor. God has wired you for war and weaved you for worship. You are a living paradox. Soft-hearted, steel-spirited, a warrior in disguise. And those who judged you by your appearance had no idea they were standing in the presence of someone who walks with fire. Your warfare wasn't random. It was personalized, tailor-made, because of what you carry, because of who you are, because of what you were born to dismantle. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat, and every battle was proof of your rank in the spirit. So walk tall, eyes open, shoulders back. Your scars are your stripes. Your lamp is your legacy. You're still here not because you're strong, but because you're sealed, covered, called. God himself blocked what tried to bury you. And now the very darkness that tried to devour you must watch you rise. Chosen one, listen carefully. You are about to be used by God in a way that shocks those who wrote you off. You are about to lead where you were once ignored, to influence where you were once dismissed, to shine where you were once hidden. The enemy tried to bury a seed. He didn't know it was a weapon. You are not stepping into purpose, you are exploding into it. And your presence will make principalities nervous. Because you don't just know about God, you walk with him. You move by his breath. You speak with his authority. You shift atmospheres, break chains, silence confusion. You are becoming what hell feared you would be: a disruptor, a rebuilder, a revival fire, marked by midnight. Now, burning by dawn. Type below, it is time, because this is the hour you rise, no longer hiding in the shadows. The hidden oil you carry has never been for display. It was never meant to be paraded, clapped for, or even understood. It was meant to sustain you, to preserve you in famine, to anoint others in secret. This oil was pressed out of you in private through trials, loss, and obedience. And though no one else may have seen the pressing, heaven documented every drop. You didn't just survive the crushing, you were transformed by it. That's what separates you from the rest. Others carry talent, charisma, even knowledge. But you carry oil, and oil only comes from pressure. You don't just speak from ideas, you speak from encounters. You don't just minister from intellect, you minister from fire. This oil wasn't given, it was made. Through years of being misunderstood, through nights of silent warfare, through choosing integrity when compromise was easier, through forgiving people who never apologized. Every decision to obey when no one was looking added weight to your oil. Every private yes built a spiritual reservoir within you. And now, that reservoir is about to overflow. Not because you demanded it, not because you chased platforms, but because God can trust you with it. He saw how you handled little, how you stewarded pain without growing bitter, how you worshipped with empty hands. And now, He is positioning you for visibility, not for validation, but for impact. But hear this, your oil is not for applause. It's for the battle. It's for healing. It's for breaking yokes off others. You've been carrying something heaven-coded, and tonight, the lid is coming off. It's time for the flow, and nothing will stop it, not fear, not shame, not insecurity. Your oil was reserved for such a time as this. In ancient times, only vessels that had been through fire and held their form were used for sacred oil. Cracked ones leaked. Decorative ones were ignored. But the ones that endured, they were placed on altars. You, chosen one, are such a vessel. You've been fired in secret kilns, and now, the weight of glory rests on you. Don't compare your pace to others. You were not delayed, you were preserved. Preservation feels like isolation. It looks like silence, but it produces strength. You are strong in the spirit, in ways you don't even fully grasp yet. You've been fasting, praying, waiting, yearning, not knowing that all along, oil was forming. And now, the fragrance is undeniable. People may not be able to name it, but they will sense it. They will say, there's something about you, that something is the Spirit of the Lord upon you, that something is divine oil that costs what most are unwilling to pay. You didn't get this in a weekend retreat. You got this through long obedience, through sacred surrender, through tears that spoke louder than sermons. Your oil intimidates darkness. That's why warfare increases when you speak. That's why people fall silent when you walk into the room. That's why atmospheres shift without you trying. It's not arrogance. It's not hype. It's residue. Residue from the crushing. Residue from the fire. Residue from dwelling in the secret place for so long. People may try to imitate your anointing, but they cannot replicate your oil, because oil requires crushing, and crushing cannot be copied. It must be lived. You are not just another voice. You are a sound in the spirit, a carrier of breakthrough, an atmosphere disruptor. And the time for hiding is over. Paul reminds us in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. You are the jar. The oil is the treasure, and the power is God's. You don't need to strive, just pour. You don't need to perform, just be obedient. What you carry speaks louder than your presence. It speaks in dreams. It speaks in whispers. It speaks in silence. You are a vessel of holy oil, and tonight, the heavens are saying, pour freely. Chosen one, a divine shift is happening in real time, and you are at the center of it. No, not tomorrow. Not in a vague future you keep hoping for. Right now. Heaven is not waiting for you to catch up. It's already moving. And grace is pulling you with it. The shift isn't something you're praying for anymore. It's already underway. Can you feel it? That strange restlessness. That sense that something is rearranging behind the veil. That's God. He's rerouting what was meant for your downfall and turning it into the setup for your elevation. The things that didn't work out weren't failures. They were divine detours. God was blocking what would have broken you. What looked like rejection was redirection. What seemed like silence was strategy. You were never stuck. You were being spared. It's like the children of Israel at the edge of the Red Sea. Behind them, Pharaoh. Before them, the impossible. But God didn't panic. He told Moses, move forward. Because while they were focused on the threat, heaven was already shifting the waters. That's what's happening for you now. You don't have to understand the strategy to walk in the shift. Chosen one. Your name has been brought up in places your feet have never been. Conversations have happened about you without your knowledge. Doors are being prepared to open. And when they do, they will swing wide. Not because you pushed, but because heaven said it's time. What you are stepping into now cannot be earned. It can only be received. There's a release happening even as you read this. Something in your spirit is unlocking. What felt cloudy before is becoming clear. The confusion that tormented your thoughts is lifting. The fear that paralyzed your movement is breaking. You're not walking into a season. You're walking into a shift of dimension. You're about to breathe differently, think differently, move differently. But this shift will cost you comfort. It will demand obedience. You cannot carry old habits into a new realm. What worked in the last season will be weight in this one. You have to travel light. Bitterness can't come. Fear must be left behind. Disobedience cannot survive the altitude of your next assignment. Do not be shocked when people begin to distance themselves. Some relationships were only relevant to your wilderness, not your promised land. Some voices were meant to walk with you up to a point, but they cannot enter what God is about to reveal. This is not rejection, it's refinement. You are being prepared for greater. This divine shift is not about fame. It's not about recognition. It's about alignment. You are being placed where you were always meant to be. Everything is being moved into position. And the shaking you felt, that's just the sound of misaligned things being set right. As we read in Isaiah chapter 60, verse 1, Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Chosen one, your time has come. This is not hype. This is heaven. You've waited. You've endured. You've been faithful in private. And now, God is shifting things around you to make room for the weight of glory that's about to rest upon you. So stay alert. Be sober-minded. Pay attention to patterns and disruptions. What feels like confusion may actually be divine interruption. What seems like delay may be disguised acceleration. Don't let fear cause you to mislabel what God is doing. He's not breaking you. He's making room for the new. This moment is holy, and if your spirit is bearing witness right now, let this word become your confirmation. You're not imagining the shift, you're walking in it. Don't resist what you were born for. Don't sabotage what you've prayed for. Move in agreement. Move in silence if you must, but move. Let this message find its way into the hands of others who are sensing the same divine stirring. If this resonated deep within your spirit, hit the like button, not as a formality, but as a declaration. I receive the shift. Share it with another chosen one who's been walking through uncertainty but sensing breakthrough. Let them know they're not crazy, they're being transitioned. And if this word has ignited something in you, if you know this, oil has poured into a dry place in your spirit, consider subscribing and staying connected. There is more coming. More messages aligned for your spirit. More keys to unlock what has been dormant. Stay with this movement. Stay with this voice. Should your heart feel moved, and you desire to sow into this well of prophetic flow, know that it helps keep the fire burning and the message reaching further. Not out of pressure, but out of partnership. Because when God marks a word, He often invites us to respond in faith, in generosity, in alignment. Chosen one, you are not watching this because you're weak. You're watching this because you're ready. The shift didn't wait for your perfection, it only waited for your yes. And now, it has begun. This is not a delay, it's a setup. Chosen one, the enemy has tried to convince you that God forgot you, that your prayers were lost, that your time had passed. But let the veil be torn today. What you called delay was actually divine preservation. You weren't being punished, you were being positioned. While others were racing ahead, God had you hidden, anchored, covered. Because what you carry is not fragile, it's holy. And holy things require timing. Holy things must be shielded until maturity. God did not let you move too quickly. Not because you were weak, but because your purpose was too potent to be exposed too soon. He delayed you to protect the promise. Sometimes divine strategy looks like stillness. Sometimes God places you in waiting so He can go before you and deal with enemies you didn't even know were plotting. So He can align resources, open doors, clear paths. What felt like abandonment was a calculated move. Heaven doesn't make mistakes, it makes appointments. And yours is now, chosen one. You must understand. God's timing is surgical, precise. When He holds you back, it's not passive, it's protective. You're not behind schedule, you're right on time for a breakthrough. No one will be able to explain. The tables are turning, the story is shifting, and you are rising not with effort, but with divine wind at your back. Do you remember when Lazarus died and everyone said, "It's too late"? They didn't understand that Jesus was never in a rush because resurrection doesn't obey human clocks. He waited so that when He showed up, no one could deny the glory. That's what God is doing with your story. Delayed, yes, but on purpose. Because when He moves, all will know it was Him. You weren't overlooked. You were overshadowed by glory. You weren't skipped. You were sealed for a time such as this. What's coming to you wasn't stolen. It was stored. And now, the gates are opening. The embargo is lifted. What's yours is being released. Every missed opportunity was a setup for a better alignment. Every closed door was heaven, shouting, "Not this one." You weren't rejected. You were being rerouted to something that wouldn't drain your spirit. God's not just giving you anything. He's preparing what will multiply you. And He had to get your heart right before He handed it to you. You've matured. You've surrendered. You've been broken in all the right places. Now you're ready to carry weight without collapsing. Ready to speak without striving. Ready to receive without doubt. The holding pattern is breaking. The delays are shifting into divine deliveries. David was anointed king, but had to wait years before the crown. And during that time, he ran, he hid, he wept. But he was being formed. And when the moment came, he didn't have to fight for the throne. It came to him. That's how the real ones rise. Not by force, but by favor. So stop mourning what didn't happen in your timing. It wasn't the right gate. Stop questioning your worth because of others' timelines. You don't serve their calendar, you serve God's. And His word does not return void. If He spoke it, He will perform it. Paul reminds us in Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Even the waiting, even the silence, even the places where you thought hope died, God was at work, turning it all to your advantage. And now, suddenly, you'll see it. The favor, the clarity, the open heaven, the overdue becoming now. Chosen one, your delay ends here. What's coming will not trickle. It will pour, and you will not apologize for the time it took, because now you carry what lasts. Now you carry what's pure. And now the setup is complete. Drop this number in the comments. 444. A prophetic sign that what was hidden is now being established by divine design. The silence that sanctified you was never a void. It was a vessel, a container where God hid you, purified you, and rewired your spirit. Chosen one, don't mistake the quiet seasons for abandonment. Heaven was closer than you thought. The silence wasn't punishment, it was intimacy. It was the space where distractions died, and clarity was born. You cried out, God, where are you? And He answered not in thunder, but in stillness, not in flashes of miracles, but in the slow burn of transformation. Silence taught you what noise never could. It deepened your roots. It purified your motives. It forced you to hear what flesh drowns out. And in that quiet chamber, you changed. While others were busy performing, you were being purified. While many sought platforms, you were being pruned in the dark. And now, the fruit you carry will last because it grew without applause. The silence didn't steal your strength, it multiplied it. You learned to pray without needing a reply, to walk without always seeing the way, to trust when nothing made sense. That kind of faith doesn't come cheap. It's not birthed in convenience. It's forged in long nights, unanswered questions, and sacred restraint. You wanted to speak, but God said, "Be still." You wanted to act, but He said, "Wait." And in that waiting, your spirit matured. You didn't become passive, you became powerful. The silence was sanctification. God was cleaning your palate, washing off old residue, removing the voices that shaped your doubt, and in doing so, He made you holy, not by your strength, but by His presence. You may not feel different, but heaven says it. You are not who you were. The wilderness changed your DNA. You're marked now. Sanctification isn't glamorous, it's surgical. It strips away pride. It exposes hidden idols. It reveals how much we trust our own understanding. But when you surrender, when you stop wrestling, when you finally say, "God, even if you don't answer, I'll still obey," something holy happens. The fire becomes a friend, the silence becomes sacred, and the Spirit begins to whisper, "Chosen one, your name was forged in that silence. You thought you were losing your voice, but you were gaining heaven's sound. You weren't drying up, you were being cleared out, cleansed, reformed. God removed what would have contaminated the call. You had to be purified before the promise could manifest. And now, what once felt like distance is becoming direction. What once hurt now makes sense. Not fully, but enough to stand. Enough to speak with weight. Enough to carry what others cannot. That's the fruit of the silence. It wasn't wasted, it was woven into your spirit. As Elijah learned in the cave, God wasn't in the wind or the fire, but in the whisper. That whisper is where your commissioning happened. In the stillness, you received strategy. In the quiet, you gained confidence, not based on outcome, but on presence. That is unshakable faith. That is dangerous faith. And you carry it now, as we read in Psalm chapter 46, verse 10. Be still, and know that I am God. You know now, not just in mind, but in being. That's what the silence taught you. That He is still God in the unanswered. That He is still holy in the dark. That He is still present when no one else is. You no longer just believe you know. And this knowledge will carry you into unknown places. Into spaces where others are still guessing. Into environments that need not just a voice, but a vessel. And that's what you've become. A vessel of the sacred, not for popularity, not for clout, but for transformation, for truth, for fire. You were sanctified in silence so that when you speak, heaven speaks with you, so that your words don't just inspire, they cut, they heal, they convict, they release, because they come from the secret place, from the altar of surrender, from the soil of brokenness. Never again despise the silence. It made you, it proved you, and it anointed you. Heaven's court has ruled. The verdict is sealed. Your name has been spoken in realms beyond human comprehension, not in a room of opinion, but in the presence of the Ancient of Days. You, chosen one, have been acknowledged by the throne. While the world debated your worth, heaven confirmed your destiny. While voices around you questioned your call, a divine ruling was issued, approved, anointed, sent. This was never about proving yourself to people. It was about being recognized by God. And now that the heavenly courtroom has rendered its judgment, no accusation can stand. Every lie spoken against you void. Every label misapplied to you revoked. Every delay that tried to disqualify you redeemed. The gavel has fallen in your favor. You didn't plead your case with words. You pled with tears, with sleepless nights, with unshakable obedience when nothing made sense. While others tried to earn influence, you remained at the feet of the one who sees all. You didn't chase approval, you chased presence. And now, that presence surrounds you like a decree. Heaven's courtroom does not operate on hearsay. It operates on covenant. The blood of Jesus didn't just cleanse you, it secured your standing. The Spirit didn't just comfort you, it advocated for you. And now, with witnesses watching, your name echoes in holy halls, not for shame, not for trial, but for assignment. The accusations the enemy threw at you have been overruled. The voices that said, "You're too late, too broken, too flawed," silenced. Your past cannot testify against you in this courtroom because it's been erased. All that remains is the record of your yes, the evidence of your surrender, the testimony of your endurance. In Zechariah chapter 3, The high priest Joshua stood before the angel of the Lord, while Satan stood at his right side to accuse him. But the Lord rebuked Satan and clothed Joshua in clean garments. That is your story. The accuser showed up, but heaven shut him down. Your garments have been changed. The filth has been replaced with favor. You've been cleared, not because you are flawless, but because grace stood in your place. The verdict has nothing to do with merit and everything to do with mercy. And mercy has ruled in your favor. Heaven is not confused about who you are. It is settled, and because it is settled above, it must begin to manifest below. That's the order of divine justice, on earth as it is in heaven. What was decreed in secret will soon become visible, not to validate your ego, but to confirm the word. What was done in the spirit will produce fruit in the natural. Doors will open, not because of effort, but because of legal spiritual authority. This is not about hype. It's about jurisdiction. You've been authorized. You are now moving under the weight of a heavenly ruling. This is why resistance is breaking, why warfare is thinning, why territory is becoming available. You are no longer negotiating, you are advancing. And don't be surprised when people notice, not because you changed your appearance, but because you carry something different now. There's weight in your words, substance in your silence, confidence that comes not from self, but from the seal of God's approval. You are not guessing anymore, you are walking in settled truth. What others thought was ambition in you was really assignment. They didn't understand the fire because they didn't feel the flame. But now, what you carry will begin to impact rooms, systems, even generations. Not because you're loud, but because you're backed. Chosen one. This heavenly ruling didn't just release you, it also warned those who tried to block you. There are people who underestimated you, systems that tried to silence you, structures that tried to exclude you. But now, heaven has said, go forth, and nothing can stop what God has decreed. As we read in Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17, no weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is your inheritance. This is the ruling, and you don't have to argue anymore. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to defend the call. The court of heaven has spoken. The judgment is final. Case closed. You may feel unworthy, but that's not your voice. That's shame, trying to speak after its time has ended. Ignore it. God already knew your flaws and still chose you. Already knew your fears and still called you. Already saw your inconsistencies and still wrote your name in the plan. You may feel small, but you've been marked for something massive. Naught in size, but in significance. This ruling isn't just about you. It's about what flows through you. Others will find freedom through your obedience. Families will be healed through your voice. Strongholds will collapse under the weight of your intercession. Because this is what happens when heaven endorses a life. So walk carefully, not in fear, but in reverence. You are not ordinary. You are carrying something that was judged worthy in the highest court. Don't dilute it for popularity. Don't bury it for acceptance. Carry it with honor. Protect it with prayer. Release it with authority. The court has ruled. The seal is upon you. Move forward, marked, chosen, sent. You were carried by mercy. Chosen one. Not by luck. Not by coincidence. Not by your own strength. You are here, still breathing, still standing, still reading this, because mercy held you when everything else dropped you. You made it through what others didn't survive. You endured what should have crushed you. And it wasn't because you were perfect. It was because mercy refused to let go. Mercy stepped in when judgment had every right to speak. Mercy wrapped around you when shame came to strangle you. When depression tried to drown you, mercy lifted your chin. When fear whispered that you were done, mercy whispered louder, "Not yet." You didn't just stumble into survival. You were carried through the fire, through the heartbreak, through the confusion. You didn't navigate it on your own. There were moments you don't even remember how you got through, but mercy remembers. And heaven took record. Every tear, every groan, every breathless prayer, it all mattered. Sometimes we think surviving isn't spiritual, but it is. Sometimes holding on is the most powerful act of worship. Mercy honored every shaky yes, every whispered help, every broken, trembling prayer that escaped your lips when no one else was around. God saw it. Mercy answered. People around you may not know the weight of what you survived. They may see you're calm now and think you've always been this steady, but they don't know the nights you almost didn't make it, the mornings you didn't want to get up, the battles you fought in secret. But heaven knows, and mercy carried you through every one. David understood this when he wrote in Psalm chapter 23, verse 6, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." That word follow doesn't mean trail behind. It means chase after. Mercy has been chasing you down, not letting you fall so far that you couldn't come back. Even when you walked away, mercy followed. Even when you rebelled, mercy waited. Even when you cursed the sky, mercy stood silently by, ready to catch your return. Mercy didn't just protect you from death, it preserved your calling. You could have become bitter, but mercy softened your heart. You could have lost faith, but mercy whispered, "Believe again." You could have disappeared, but mercy kept you visible just enough to be rescued. You are not here because of willpower. You are here because mercy had a grip that never loosened. Chosen one, mercy has been your covering. While others slandered your name, mercy covered it. While hell planned your burial, mercy intervened. While darkness thought it had you cornered, mercy made a way of escape. And that same mercy is still with you, still lifting, still guarding, still speaking better things over your life than your past deserves. And now, as you rise, don't forget what carried you. Don't forget the grip that didn't let go. It's not that you were always strong, it's that mercy never left. And that is why you will never move forward with arrogance. That is why your voice will carry weight, because it's drenched in humility. You've seen what it's like to be held when everything else fails. You've experienced love that didn't walk away. And now, you become a vessel of that same mercy for others. That's what the carried ones do. They carry others. Not out of superiority, but out of remembrance. Because when you remember how mercy carried you, you never grow tired of lifting others. This is the secret of true authority. Not domination, but deliverance. Not command, but compassion. Not pride, but presence. And mercy teaches all of that. Mercy doesn't raise performers. It raises lovers of truth, carriers of kindness, architects of healing. And that's who you're becoming. You may not feel ready, but mercy says you are. You may still carry wounds, but mercy calls them signs. You may still hear the voice of your past, but mercy shouts louder. You are new, chosen one. You are a walking testimony that mercy works, that grace restores, That love heals. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you're still here. Your very life is the explanation. Mercy wrote your survival story in bold ink, and now it's being read by all who witness you. Rise. You've cried long enough. You've questioned long enough. Now, it's time to walk in confidence, not because of perfection, but because of mercy. Type below, mercy kept me. Because sometimes survival itself is the loudest proof of God's presence. You're crossing into fulfillment. Chosen one. This is the moment the wait begins to make sense. The prayers you whispered in the wilderness are rising as fulfilled promises on the horizon. You are no longer circling the mountain. You are stepping into the land of manifestation, the land of clarity, the land where the invisible becomes visible. You've endured long seasons of delay, of silence, of wondering if what God spoke would ever come to pass. But hear this. Fulfillment isn't always loud. Sometimes it starts with subtle alignment, the right conversation, the sudden favor, the unexpected clarity, and before you realize it, you're living in what you once wept for. The people of Israel walked for 40 years, longing for a promise. Many died, waiting to see. But when the moment came to cross over, God didn't send fire from heaven. He simply said, "Now, go." And the waters parted, not with thunder, but with obedience. That's the moment you're in now. The quiet, powerful crossing. The moment where you move from hoping to holding. The tension you've been feeling lately isn't warfare, it's transition. You're stepping out of the wilderness mindset and into inheritance. Out of striving, into flowing. What you used to chase is now being handed to you. Because you've proven your posture. You didn't fold in the wait. You stayed faithful. You kept sowing. And now, harvest has found you. But fulfillment doesn't mean ease. It means alignment. It means carrying what you've been entrusted with reverence. The next steps won't require more hustle. They'll require more surrender. This is not about building platforms. It's about building altars, sacred places of obedience where glory can rest. You're no longer begging for doors to open. They're recognizing your name. Heaven has gone ahead and whispered who you are into the ears of those holding access. People you've never met will feel led to bless, to support, to open space for you. Not because of charm, but because of oil. What God ordains, no man can resist. Fulfillment also means that your scars will now serve a purpose. What once hurt will now heal others. What once broke, you will now build something eternal. You're not stepping into ease. You're stepping into eternal significance. And every ounce of pain will pay dividends in the spirit. Joshua chapter 21, verse 45 declares, "Not one of all the Lord's good promises to Israel failed. Everyone was fulfilled." That's your portion. That's the season you're stepping into. What God promised, He will perform. Even the things you forgot, He spoke. He didn't forget. Fulfillment is not always fast, but it is always faithful. And you're walking into that faithfulness now. The dreams you thought were dead are coming alive again. The gifts you buried are being resurrected. The identity you once doubted is now becoming your armor. You're not pretending anymore, you're becoming. Fulfillment makes imposter syndrome vanish because presence confirms what performance never could. Chosen one. Don't be surprised when what once resisted you now makes room for you. Favor has a way of shifting environments. People who once dismissed you may suddenly show support. Doors that were locked may suddenly swing open. It's not manipulation, it's manifestation. and your only job is to remain rooted. This fulfillment will require you to walk with more discernment, more prayer, more focus, because the fulfilled version of you will attract more responsibility, more visibility, and more spiritual weight. But you are ready. You've been forged in fire for this. You've grown into the capacity to carry it. You no longer have to explain your journey. The fruit will speak. You no longer have to fight for your name. The favor will defend you. You don't have to scream for recognition. God is placing you exactly where your voice will matter most. As you walk forward, don't forget the power of staying connected. If this word has confirmed what's been stirring in your spirit, consider liking and sharing, not just to spread a message, but to multiply the reach of what heaven is doing right now through surrendered lives like yours. Subscribe to stay under this covering of prophetic flow. More is coming, and you don't want to miss what heaven is releasing next. And if you feel led to sow into this message, know that it fuels the mission of taking these timely words, further reaching hearts, shifting atmospheres, and stirring revival in unexpected places. Not because of obligation, but because of alignment. When God marks a moment, some will feel moved to mark it back with seed, with support, with sharing. Follow whatever the Spirit stirs in you. Chosen one, you're not entering the promise, you're becoming the promise. You're the fulfillment someone else has been praying for. You're the answer showing up in human form. So, walk carefully, walk boldly, walk with your head high and your heart low. You didn't arrive here by accident. You were carried. You were prepared. You were sent. New assignments are being released. Chosen one, not random tasks or empty titles, but kingdom blueprints specific, holy, and weighty. These are not things you can manufacture. They are being deposited straight into your spirit. You won't be able to explain them fully, but you will know they are from God because they come with peace and fire simultaneously. You may feel the tension already, that holy stirring, that divine discontent. The things that used to satisfy you now feel small. The rhythms that once worked no longer feel right. That is not frustration. It's a divine push. Heaven is calling you higher, deeper, further. This isn't a new season, it's a new mandate. God is not asking you to do more, He's asking you to do differently. To walk away from the noise and into the strategy. The assignments being released now are for those who've proven faithful in silence. These blueprints are being handed out to those who can steward them with integrity, not with ambition. You are one of them. You've been tested, refined. Your obedience has reached heaven. And in response, heaven is placing something into your hands, something that carries eternal weight. It may look like a small door, a quiet whisper, a gentle nudge, but inside it is the power to disrupt darkness and establish something divine. God is entrusting you with people, spaces, atmospheres. You'll notice sudden clarity about where to go, who to speak to, what to start, what to leave. This is not trial and error. This is Spirit-led strategy, divine GPS. And the instructions won't make sense to everyone, but they will burn within you. Your assignment may not come with applause. It may not be flashy. It may not even be understood, but it will carry weight. And if you obey, the fruit will be undeniable. You were not chosen for performance. You were chosen for precision. Heaven doesn't release strategy to the popular. It releases it to the postured. Moses didn't ask for his assignment. He stumbled into a burning bush, trembling and unsure. Yet it was that encounter that shifted nations. God isn't asking for your perfection. He's asking for your surrender. If He gives the word, He will supply the strength, as we read in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. That's what's happening now. God is writing on the tablets of your heart. He's downloading vision vivid, unmistakable, disruptive, and He's trusting you to run with it, not to hesitate, not to seek validation, just to obey. Because your obedience will set things in motion that echo far beyond your own life. Don't minimize what God shows you just because it looks different than what others are doing. This generation doesn't need replicas. It needs real ones. Voices that carry fire, not formulas. Movements birthed in prayer, not performance. And you are being called to pioneer that kind of move. You'll know it's your assignment because it will demand your full heart. It won't let you rest. It will pull on your spirit in the quiet hours. It will show up in your dreams, your conversations, your thoughts. That's the Spirit reminding you, this is holy. And when it comes, don't rush to reveal it. Let it grow in secret. Guard it. Pray over it. Don't expose what's still incubating. God is not in a hurry. He moves with precision, and so must you. Some assignments must marinate in the secret place before they're released in public. This is a season of divine downloads. Stay sensitive. Stay still. Don't crowd your life with distractions that muffle His voice. Clear space. Make room. What you carry requires silence. Devotion. Discipline. The assignment is too important to treat casually. It's not just about you, it's about legacy, territory, and eternity. You are not just being used, you are being trusted. And heaven doesn't release that kind of trust lightly. It looks for the yielded, the faithful, the ones who stayed when others ran, the ones who said, even if I'm never seen, He'll still obey. That's the posture that attracts holy instructions. So pay attention. Write it down. Sit with it. Let God refine it. Let Him breathe on it. You'll begin to see confirmation all around you. Scriptures, dreams, sudden alignments. Heaven will echo what it initiates. And when the time comes to act, don't delay. Move with the grace provided. Your assignment has weight. Chosen one. It's been crafted with your DNA in mind. It's not too big for you. It's not too late. It's not beyond your capacity. It's custom fit for your calling. You don't have to beg for access. You've been granted divine clearance. And now, it's your time to build. The mantle finds you tonight. Not because you chased it, but because you were faithful when it felt like nothing was moving. You didn't force it. It followed your surrender. This mantle is not made of cloth. It is made of fire, weight, and divine recognition. You're not just being stirred, you are being mantled with purpose. What you've been feeling isn't anxiety, it's spiritual tension. A sacred heaviness that sits on your chest, reminding you that something is shifting. Heaven is not just observing you now, it's clothing you. Just as Elijah passed his mantle to Elisha, something weighty is being transferred to your spirit. You won't leave this moment the same. A mantle is not popularity. It's responsibility. It's not given to the loudest voice, but the most yielded heart. And you, chosen one, have been found trustworthy. You've been loyal in secret, disciplined in pain, and now the heavens have opened over your name. What you carry after tonight won't feel light. It will feel necessary. It will burn. It will move you. It will guide your decisions. Because a mantle doesn't sit on your shoulders for appearance, it shapes your life. It's a sign that heaven has entrusted you with a people, a region, an assignment. The old season can't hold the new mantle. You will feel the pull to change your posture, to pray differently, to walk differently, not because you're trying, but because what's on you won't allow you to stay the same. The anointing demands alignment. This mantle won't fit your former mindset. It requires maturity. God is not giving you a position, He's giving you power. The authority to speak and see movement, to pray and see atmospheres shift, to intercede and see families delivered. You've been trusted with a portion of God's power because you proved you wouldn't misuse it. Elisha asked for a double portion, not because he wanted fame, but because he understood the weight of what Elijah carried. And when the mantle fell, it didn't come with instructions. It came with evidence. The waters parted. The prophets noticed, because real mantles speak without words. As it is written in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 15, the spirit of Elijah is resting on Elisha. That's what's happening now. The weight of former glory is being passed to a willing vessel. You are receiving a spiritual inheritance, not just for your sake, but for those who will encounter God through your life. The fire that once led others is now burning in your bones. This is why the attacks intensified. The enemy saw the mantle coming and tried to distract you with despair. But you endured. You kept your posture. And now, nothing can stop what heaven has begun. You are stepping into sacred responsibility, and every step will now be ordered. You won't need to announce it. Your presence will carry it. Doors will respond to what you carry. Demons will recognize it. People will be drawn to it, not to glorify you, but to experience the God within you. The mantle is not about making you look great. It's about making His glory known. Chosen one. Handle it with reverence. You are now a carrier of heaven's agenda. Not everyone will understand. Some will resist. But your job is not to convince, it's to obey. This mantle will cost you comfort, but it will bring purpose that outweighs every sacrifice. Drop this in the comments. 222. A prophetic number signaling divine commissioning and agreement between heaven and earth. Angels stationed at your door, not in metaphor, but in reality. You, chosen one, have drawn heavenly attention. Your obedience has not only moved God's heart, it has activated divine protection. The warfare surrounding you was not random, it was reactionary. Hell sensed the movement of heaven around your life, and it panicked. You are not walking alone. Right now, unseen by human eyes, angels have taken position around you, not for decoration, for defense. They are watching, waiting, executing assignments on your behalf. They're not passive. They are strategic, and their presence confirms what you felt in your spirit. Something big is unfolding. Some battles you didn't even see because an angel already intervened. That accident you narrowly avoided. That relationship that mysteriously ended. That opportunity that closed just in time. It wasn't coincidence. It was coordination. Heaven was shielding what God was building inside you. This isn't just general protection, it's prophetic positioning. Specific angels have been assigned to your life's journey. Messengers, guardians, enforcers, and they respond not to emotion, but to obedience. When you walk in alignment, heaven aligns around you. And now, because you've crossed a spiritual threshold, Reinforcements have arrived. Don't be surprised if you begin to feel shifts in your environment. A strange peace where there used to be tension. A sudden awareness in places you once ignored. That's not paranoia, it's discernment. Your spirit is picking up on the presence of divine agents. The air is charged, and for good reason. You're not just being protected, you're being prepared. The angels around you aren't just standing guard, they're setting scenes, orchestrating introductions, redirecting enemies. They're not here to watch, they're here to work. Assigned by heaven, loyal to the throne, focused on you. Psalm chapter 91, verse 11 says, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." That word command means order. God has issued divine orders concerning you. Your name has been mentioned in heavenly strategy sessions. You have been marked, not just for mission, but for movement. The angels are confirmation that your steps are not random, they are coordinated from above. This is why the last season felt so intense. Every forward step triggered resistance. Every act of obedience stirred unseen realms. Because when angels are dispatched, the enemy takes notice. Not because he's winning, but because he's panicking. You've broken cycles that were rooted in generations. You've cancelled plans hell counted on. That's why the warfare came. But that's also why the angels are here. They have come to ensure your passage forward, to guard the door, to enforce the decree. Nothing touches a chosen one without heaven's permission. You are not fragile, you are fortified. You are not walking blind, you are surrounded by clarity, even when you can't see it. Some angels are sent for moments, others are assigned for life. And the ones around you now, they are here because of what's ahead. You are stepping into territory that must be spiritually secured. And God does not send you unguarded into ground, He's prepared for you. You may sense an increase in spiritual sensitivity, dreams, warnings, comfort in times of confusion. That's part of angelic activity. They won't always speak audibly, but they will always act in accordance with divine will. Their presence is silent, but their power is not. Don't fear what surrounds you in the natural. What surrounds you in the spirit is greater. You are walking under divine surveillance. Hell has tried to access your space, but heaven has drawn the line. What belongs to you is under angelic watch. Even as you rest, they remain active. Even when you forget, they remember. You are never without backup. You are never truly alone. You walk in authority, but also in the safety of divine accompaniment. Chosen one, lift your head. The air has shifted. The ground beneath you is being secured. And not by your hand, but by the hand of the Lord, through His angels. You are not just protected, you are being strategically advanced. This is why the next steps must be taken in faith. You are not stepping into risk, you are stepping into confirmation. The presence of angels doesn't remove the need for courage, but it does remind you that you are never unguarded. Let your heart rest in this. You were never abandoned. Every step, every turn, every storm you were watched over. And now, as you cross into new assignments, the guard changes. Higher rank, greater access, increased authority. Because what you carry now demands heavenly reinforcement. The ones who doubted will watch. They'll see. Not because you need to prove anything, but because God makes testimonies out of the very people others discounted. Your life is about to become undeniable evidence, not of your greatness, but of His faithfulness. What they thought was your ending will unfold into your becoming. The whispers, the dismissal, The polite toleration you endured, none of it went unnoticed by heaven. While people judged you based on what they could see, God was working with what they couldn't. He saw the weight you carried in silence, the obedience no one applauded, the inner fire that never went out despite the cold reception. And now, the unveiling begins. This isn't about revenge. It's about revelation. God reveals His glory not just in quiet places, but in public ones too. Not to shame others, but to awaken them. When He raises up the rejected, He preaches a louder message than any sermon. And that's what your life is becoming, a living proclamation. There were people who said, "You were too much, too intense, too emotional, too slow, too spiritual." But what they labeled as too much, God saw as preparation. You were never too much. You were just too chosen to fit their mold. And now that God is highlighting what He hid, the very people who misunderstood you will be witnesses to your rise. Your presence will start to carry weight in rooms where you were once invisible. The same platforms that bypassed you will start echoing your voice. The same voices that dismissed you will now want access to your anointing. Not because you changed to please them, but because you stayed faithful to the one who called you. When David defeated Goliath, the same brothers who mocked him had to watch him be celebrated. The same people who saw him as just a shepherd boy witnessed his anointing unfold. And David didn't gloat. He just stood in what God gave him. That's what you're being called to do now. Not to boast, but to be. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 13, we read, "Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers." That detail matters. It happened in the presence of his brothers. God could have done it in private, but He chose the very environment where David was least expected to be chosen. That's what God is doing with you. The oil is being poured in full view, not to humiliate others, but to honor your faithfulness. And when the ones who doubted see, your posture must be mercy, not resentment, not pride, because their doubt didn't stop your destiny, it sharpened it. It pushed you to pray more, surrender deeper, seek good harder. Their disbelief became fuel, and now that God is moving, your response must be humility. They won't be able to deny it. Your language has shifted, your spirit has grown, your clarity is sharp, and your peace untouchable. That's what transformation does. It makes you unrecognizable in the best way, not because you became someone else, but because the version of you they formed in their mind was always incomplete. Don't be shocked when they reach out, when they ask how you did it, when they try to reconnect. Some of them are sincere, others are curious, but none of them can take credit for what's happening in your life. Because this isn't a product of connection, it's the result of consecration. You didn't network your way here, you obeyed your way here. God is not petty, He is prophetic. He allows people to see the rise of the ones they disregarded so that their perception of Him is transformed. Your elevation is evangelism. It tells a story without words. This is what God does with the humble. This is what He does with the yielded. This is how He crowns those who refuse to bow to pressure. Your life is about to become a classroom. People will study your journey to understand how faith works in real time. They'll point to your before and your after, and they'll have no choice but to admit God must have done this. And that's the point. You're not here to get even. You're here to reveal glory, to carry presence, to show what happens when someone gives God their whole life, even the messy, broken parts. That's what makes your story powerful. It's not sanitized. It's real. And real anointing always has roots in real pain. So, walk forward, not with revenge in your heart, but with reverence in your step. Let every look be a lesson in grace. Let every room be an altar. Let your success never shout, "I told you so," but instead whisper, "Look what the Lord has done." The ones who doubted will watch, and in their watching, heaven will speak. Glory will rise from the ashes. Chosen one. The places you thought were beyond repair, God is rebuilding them. The dreams you buried under disappointment, He's resurrecting them. This is not restoration, as you imagined. It is deeper, more precise. God is not just returning what was lost, He's releasing what was always reserved. You have walked through seasons that looked like ruin. Relationships fell apart. Opportunities slipped through your hands. Identity was tested. Trust shattered. But what others saw as defeat, God saw as preparation ground. The ashes are not your end, they're your evidence that something was burned. Yes, but also that something holy survived. The enemy tried to destroy you in fire, but fire only refines gold. And you, chosen one, are coming forth as pure gold. What looked like the worst season of your life was actually the womb of your becoming. It had to break so you could be rebuilt, right, sanctified, stronger, aligned with destiny. Ashes are not waste, they are witness. They prove that something was consumed, but not you. The trauma didn't take your calling. The betrayal didn't erase your value. The loneliness didn't cancel your future. It all became the altar where you surrendered your own plans and accepted heaven's design. This is the moment where glory emerges. Slowly, quietly, but unmistakably. You're beginning to sense it in your posture, your thoughts, your desire. You're not the same. You're not desperate. You're not broken in the way you once were. You've been built from rubble. But heaven held the blueprint. When Nehemiah rebuilt Jerusalem's wall, he didn't start with fresh ground, he started with ruins. Because God's glory doesn't fear ruins. It rebuilds from them. And so are you. From the broken things, the forgotten places. The ignored potential glory is rising. And it won't be subtle. Isaiah chapter 61, verset 3 declares, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes. That exchange is happening now, not in theory, but in your life. Beauty for ashes, oil of joy for mourning, garment of praise for heaviness. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to suppress your story to protect your image. Your scars are sacred. They shine now. The people who saw you in ashes will be stunned by the glory, not because of status, but because of presence. Because what rests on you now cannot be faked. It comes from time in the fire. It comes from staying when others walked, from trusting when everything said quit. This glory is not superficial, it's internal. It's the peace you carry in storms, the wisdom you speak in silence, the authority you walk in without shouting. You're not striving anymore. You're steady. That's glory. That's what the ashes produced. Chosen one. This rising won't need promotion. The fire has already done the talking. What you carry will attract who it's meant for. Not chasing. No proving. Just presence. Just fire. Just a steady rising that will shake atmospheres. So what now? Walk in it. Own it. Let the glory be seen not in performance, but in posture. Let people wonder how you're still standing. Let them ask. Let your life be the altar. Your peace, the incense. Your obedience, the flame. Glory doesn't always announce itself with lightning. Sometimes it arrives in the gentleness of healing, the clarity of purpose, the stillness of maturity. And that's what's resting on you now. Quiet fire, holy boldness, unshakable confidence, born not from pride, but from having survived the burn. This is your sign that it wasn't all in vain, that the suffering had a purpose, that heaven saw you in the ashes and decided to make you a vessel of beauty. If this word stirred something inside you, don't let it stop here. Like and share it, so others can experience the same breath of truth. There are more chosen ones walking through ashes who need to hear that glory is still possible. Comment below, "I'm still here," because that alone is enough proof that heaven never let go. Subscribe to stay rooted in this prophetic flow. Messages like this are not content, they're confirmations. They're tools to keep your spirit aligned. And if this word was nourishment to you, consider sowing a seed not from pressure, but from purpose. Donations help push these messages deeper and wider into the lives they're meant to reach. You are not the ruins you came from. You are the glory rising from them. You are becoming unrecognizable, chosen one. Not because you're pretending, because you're transforming. The person you were even months ago cannot survive where God is taking you. The shift isn't superficial. It's soul deep. People may still call you by your old name, but they won't be able to find you in the same patterns, responses, or cycles, because you've changed. The transformation isn't loud. It's not always visible on the outside first, but it is total. God has been reconfiguring your identity, quietly, purposefully, with every surrendered moment, every denied distraction, every broken prayer. You've been shedding layers you didn't even realize you wore. Old fears, outdated mindsets, echoes of who others told you to be. Now you're walking in a new skin. A spiritual skin that doesn't fit the labels of your past. You're not who they remember. You're not who they mishandled. You're not even who you thought you were. You're becoming who God always saw when He looked at you. This becoming is uncomfortable. It costs relationships. It shifts environments. It forces you to release things you once held dear, not because they were evil, but because they were expired. You're being called out of survival and into stature. And stature demands solitude. It demands silence. It demands separation. This is the tension of transformation. You feel invisible and exposed at the same time. People sense the change, but don't know how to respond. They may distance themselves, not out of rejection, but out of spiritual confusion. You don't match their memory anymore. You've stepped out of their frame. That's not betrayal, that's becoming. Jesus asked His disciples, "Who do men say that I am?" They answered with what others thought. Then He asked, "But who do you say I am?" That's the journey you've been on. God stripping away public perception to reveal personal revelation. No longer defined by crowd consensus. No longer shaped by comparison, just walking in clarity. As Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here." This isn't about turning over a new leaf. This is about being reborn, renewed in your thinking, repositioned in your spirit. You don't move from trauma anymore, you move from truth. You're no longer reacting to life. You're responding from a place of power. That's transformation. And you didn't need a spotlight to confirm it. You didn't need a platform to validate it. God saw it in the quiet spaces. the new integrity, the deeper worship, the consistent discipline. That's what marked the shift. That's what made heaven say, "Now." You may still feel unsure at times. That's normal. Even Joseph had to grow into his coat. Even David had to adjust to royal garments. The outside may still feel unfamiliar, but your spirit knows. This is real. This is permanent. This is the version of you that hell hoped would never emerge. You are now dangerous to darkness, not because you're loud, but because you're clear. You don't doubt your identity. You don't apologize for your fire. You don't beg for access. You walk through doors with the authority of someone who knows they've been sent. And this new version of you doesn't need to prove anything. Your life will speak. Your presence will shift rooms, not because of ego, but because of alignment. You're not showing off. You're showing up, fully, freely. Finally, this is why certain things had to fall apart. Why some people had to leave. Why some environments became too tight. Not because you failed, but because you grew. And growth requires release. You can't carry new weight with old rhythms. Let go of the need to explain your evolution. Let them adjust in their own time, or not at all. That's not your burden. Your focus is obedience, precision, joy. You're not rising to prove them wrong, you're rising to prove heaven right. And as you continue to become, you'll notice your circle shifting. God is aligning you with those who see the real you, not the old you. Who speak to your becoming, not your former. Who can hold space for your glory and your growth. These are divine alignments, fruit of transformation. You're not running anymore, not hiding, not shrinking. You are stepping into the full expression of heaven's idea when He made you. And it shows in your decision, in your silence, in your peace, in your power. This is the reward of refinement. You are unrecognizable now, and that's the point. Crowned in the night season, not in the daytime where all could see, but in the deep hours of solitude and struggle. Chosen one. Your coronation did not come with cheers or trumpets. It came in silence. It came while you wrestled with questions no one else could answer. It came while you carried burdens too sacred to explain. God crowned you when no one else was looking. Because this was never for their applause, it was for His assignment. You didn't earn this crown by striving. You were trusted with it by staying faithful, staying honest, staying close when it felt like heaven was far. Night seasons are not just for testing, they are for crowning. The deeper the darkness, the greater the glory being prepared. And you didn't even realize that while you were enduring, heaven was clothing you in authority. While you wept, God was weaving royalty into your identity. While you wondered if you'd ever feel whole again, heaven was shaping a crown that only fits your head. This is not the crown of human success. It's not forged in wealth or worldly favor. It's the crown of survival, of wisdom, of fire walking, of oil carried through crushing. It's not gold, it's glory. It's not jewels, it's justice. This crown says, this one stayed, this one obeyed, this one overcame. And now, the night is over, not because the sun rose, but because your spirit did. You no longer carry the weight of needing to be understood. You're walking with clarity, with the quiet dignity of someone who knows they've been called. You don't need to shout. You don't need to convince. Crowns speak for themselves. There are those who will see you now and wonder, where did this come from? They missed the oil. They didn't witness the breaking. They weren't present for the pressing. But the crown is proof that God was. He saw it all. He rewarded it all. And now, He's making it visible. In Revelation chapter 3, verse 11, it is written, "Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. This is a charge to guard what you've been given, not out of fear, but reverence." Your crown is not about entitlement, it's about responsibility. You've been trusted with more now. Your words carry weight. Your silence can shift atmospheres. Your presence brings alignment. That's the mark of the crowned. This isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of your reign. And your reign doesn't look like ruling over people, it looks like ruling over fear. Ruling over old patterns. Ruling over lies that tried to define you. You don't need dominion over others when you've learned dominion over yourself. And this crowning doesn't make you better than anyone else. It simply confirms what heaven already knew, that you were set apart, that your path would be different, that your trials would be intense because your impact would be eternal, that your name would be spoken in heavenly places as one who did not turn back, chosen one. Your steps are no longer just your own. They echo, they influence, they carry kingdom implications. This is the gravity of being crowned. You are no longer hidden, and with that visibility comes both warfare and wonder. But don't fear it. God wouldn't place a crown where He wouldn't place protection. You were crowned in the night, so that when the light comes, you'd already be prepared. You wouldn't be swayed by flattery or discouraged by silence. You would know who you are, not because people told you, but because God did. And what God reveals can never be revoked. Now you walk as one who's been affirmed, not appointed by man, but marked by heaven. Your life is the evidence. Your obedience is the throne. And your every move is worship. Chosen one. If you've made it to this moment, you know this. Heaven rejoices. You didn't just listen, you aligned. You didn't just read, you received. What has been poured into you over these 17 sections is not merely inspiration, it is impartation. A mantle has been released. A fire has been rekindled. You are no longer who you were. You've crossed into something sacred. You've been reminded of your identity, awakened to your assignment, and positioned for divine movement. The crown isn't theory, it rests on you now. And the shift you feel isn't emotional, it's eternal. Walk boldly. Speak truthfully. Love deeply. Move prophetically. Let this word take root. And let the evidence of your transformation speak louder than any doubt ever could. If this journey has stirred something deep within you, don't let it end here. Like this message, not for vanity, but for visibility. Share it with another chosen one who may not even realize who they are yet. Be the messenger that heaven used. Comment below to declare your agreement, your activation, your yes. Every yes in the Spirit echoes across eternity. Let yours be counted. Subscribe to stay connected to this flow. This is not a one-time word, this is a well. And those who keep drawing from it will never run dry. And if this word has blessed you, consider sowing a seed. Not under pressure, but under prophetic partnership. It keeps the message moving. It keeps the fire burning. It brings light into places still waiting for it. You are the chosen one. The mantle is real. The mission has begun.